Most people never see reality because they mistake perception for truth. Everyday life feels vivid, solid, and obvious. We touch, taste, see, and hear the world, believing that sense equals certainty. But our senses are filters, not windows. They translate infinite complexity into manageable illusion. The human eye perceives a fraction of the electromagnetic spectrum. Your ears hear only a narrow band of vibration. Your brain edits 99% of incoming data before you become conscious of it. Reality, as you experience it, is not the world itself. It is the brain's best guess, a constructed simulation you wear like a mask. The greatest illusion is believing that your version of the world is the world itself. We each walk inside a private theater of perception. The film projected on its screen feels public, yet it plays within neural patterns shaped by memory, language, and expectation. Your eyes do not see, your mind sees through them. Your memory colors every glance. Two people witness the same event. One sees hope, the other threat. Their difference is not in eyesight. It is in the stories behind their eyes. The world they inhabit reflects their interpretations, not bare facts. That is why arguing over reality rarely works. Each participant defends their simulation as sacred truth. Plato warned us that most people live surrounded by shadows and believe they are seeing the sun. In his Allegory of the Cave, prisoners face a wall where flickering shapes move across stone. They call the shadows reality. Only the philosopher, the one who questions, turns, searches, discovers the fire, the objects, and eventually the daylight beyond the cave. Plato's parable endures because the cave never closed. It evolved. Today, the shadows are screens, advertisements, curated images, tribal news feeds. We sit transfixed, mistaking media for meaning. Our opinions echo through digital tunnels while daylight, direct awareness, waits neglected outside. People do not see reality because comfort is easier than revelation. To question perception is to court vertigo. The familiar offers warmth. The unknown radiates cold light. So the mind clings to certainty even when it hurts. It prefers false coherence over truthful confusion. This is why entire societies cling to myths long after they collapse. Belief becomes identity. Identity becomes defense, and defense blinds the eye that might have awakened. The cave is psychological before it is political. Seeing reality requires courage greater than rebellion. It demands humility. The mind hides reality behind the survival instinct of certainty. For our ancestors, hesitation could be fatal. Seeing patterns fast kept them alive. But speed demanded simplification. The brain learned to prioritize safety over accuracy. Modern humans inherited that shortcut. We assume before we investigate, we judge before we understand. Our nervous system mistakes novelty for threat. Unfamiliar ideas feel dangerous, so we label, compartmentalize, dismiss, all in the name of protection. Ignorance camouflages itself as confidence. Illusion, therefore, is not weakness of mind, but strategy of survival. And surviving is not the same as seeing. Every culture builds shared illusions and calls them civilization. Money, nations, fashion, hierarchy. They are agreements written in imagination, not carved in nature. We cooperate through symbols that exist only because we believe in them. That collective belief creates order, but also blindness. The map replaces the territory. When someone questions the currency of ideas, the crowd defends their mythology. We mock prophets who threaten the comfort of consensus. Yet, every age's heretic becomes the next age's visionary. Seeing reality means realizing that human worlds are woven from stories, beautiful, necessary, but provisional. Language itself veils reality even as it reveals it. Every word divides what could be whole. When you name something, tree, sky, time, you freeze motion into category. Speech shapes thought shapes perception, perception shapes experience. The philosopher Alan Watts once said, "We seldom realize, for example, that our most private thoughts and emotions are not actually our own, for we think in terms of languages and images we did not invent." Plato would agree. Language is the shadow play of eternal ideas. To see reality directly, sometimes words must fall silent. True vision begins where description ends. The senses show patterns, but awareness reveals presence. Science tells us that matter is mostly empty space. Particles dissolve into probabilities. Energy vibrates in fields that stretch beyond measure. Yet we feel solidity, shape, separateness. Perception compresses infinity into graspable forms. But when awareness expands, through meditation, wonder, or honest seeing, the boundaries waver. You feel that consciousness and world are two words for one thing. People rarely glimpse this because they confuse vision with seeing and thought with understanding. Awareness does not analyze. It illuminates. Society rewards distraction because clear perception threatens control. Economies flourish when attention fragments. Politics thrives on simplified enemies. Entertainment numbs the ache of unlived truth. Even education often trains compliance rather than clarity. To truly see would make manipulation impossible, because the awakened mind cannot be herded. It recognizes propaganda as shadow play, ideology as costume. Therefore, systems evolve to keep eyes half open, enough to function, not enough to awaken. Escaping illusion becomes a revolutionary act of perception. The belief in separateness is the primal distortion behind human blindness. Most people see themselves as isolated identities, moving through a landscape of otherness. I over here, world out there. But the observer and the observed are interwoven. Your consciousness colors what you perceive. Perception shapes who you are. When you wake, does the world appear? Or do you appear? Plato hinted that both arise together in the light of the good. Modern physics hints likewise. Observer and phenomenon are entangled. To see reality is to dissolve the myth of isolation. The self that stands apart is the last veil on the truth that everything looks through the same eye. Memory and habit create a dream that overrides the present. Most people never meet the world freshly. They meet what they expect. The brain predicts perceptions rather than receives them. It paints over the unknown with the known. You do not really see the flower. You see your idea of flower. You see the sunrise once? Interpret it. Then stop seeing it anew. Life recycles meaning to conserve energy. We live inside a story about what is instead of what is. The price of efficiency is freshness. The remedy is wonder. Wonder is the light that cracks illusion. When you allow yourself to be amazed without preconception, perception widens. A child's gaze sees reality better than most adults because it is unfiltered by cynicism. That is why mystics, poets, scientists, in their purest moments, sound like children. They rediscover astonishment. Wonder suspends the known so that the real can reveal itself. It is the first step of philosophy, the seed of every breakthrough, the heartbeat of faith. To regain wonder is to reopen the eye that civilization slowly closed. Fear keeps the eyes half shut even when light reaches them. To see clearly often means recognizing impermanence. Everything changes. Bodies decay. Ideas expire. Even galaxies die. The mind resists this scale because it prefers refuge in stories of permanence. But illusion cannot save you from transience. It can only hide it until crisis forces truth upon you. When you finally allow impermanence, life becomes vivid and precious. Seeing that all forms dissolve reveals that what perceives never does. Fear blinds. Acceptance clarifies. Ego is the lens that transforms reality into drama. Ego is useful. It organizes experience. But when mistaken for the whole self, it narrows vision to endless conflict and comparison. The ego sees absence instead of abundance, ownership instead of participation. It edits reality to fit its craving for superiority or survival. That is why Enlightenment teachings urge the release of ego, not its destruction but its transparency. When the interpreter relaxes, the scenery brightens. The sky does not vanish when clouds clear. It was never gone. Most people never see reality because they never stop narrating it. Technology magnifies illusion until it becomes invisible. Humans now live amid reflections of reflections, data about data, thoughts about thoughts. Artificial realities multiply faster than discernment. Images replace experience. Connection becomes simulation. Technology itself is not evil. It mirrors the mind that uses it. But when technology defines perception, reality becomes mediated beyond recognition. We scroll rather than stare, react rather than contemplate. Trapped in perpetual commentary, consciousness forgets silence. The cure is not retreat, but intention. Use tools without becoming one. Otherwise, the cave gets smarter, not brighter. True seeing begins with the willingness to admit blindness. The philosopher Socrates, Plato's teacher, declared himself wise only because he knew nothing. Ignorance acknowledged becomes vision in motion. To confess that perception distorts is to free yourself from its tyranny. Humility scrubs the lens. The less you insist the world conform to your version, the more the real world shines through. Seeing reality is not adding truth, but subtracting illusion. A sculptor reveals form by removing excess stone. Philosophy reveals reality by removing false certainty. Most people never see reality because they mistake thought for awareness. Thinking is commentary. Awareness is silence, listening. Thought names, compares, and repeats. Awareness simply sees. You cannot find reality by analyzing it. You must perceive directly. This is what meditation trains, returning attention from content to consciousness itself. When mind becomes still, perception aligns with presence, sound, sight, breath. Everything appears as movement within one unbroken field. Plato might call that field the realm of forms. Mystics call it the divine. Scientists, the unified field. Names differ. Reality does not. Reality reveals itself when you stop trying to control it. Control depends on fear. Fear divides. This is good, that is bad, this is safe, that is threat. But the universe is larger than preference. Every attempt to dominate perception narrows it. When you relax control, awareness expands beyond the ego's agenda. The world brightens because you finally let it be what it is. Paradoxically, surrender is the highest clarity. Those who release control see truth not as problem to solve, but beauty to witness. Love is the perception of reality without distortion. At its purest, love is not emotion, but recognition. The sudden intuition that everything is oneself in disguise. It dissolves boundaries, not through reasoning, but through direct seeing. When you love something enough, you perceive it truly. Judgment evaporates, presence deepens, separation fades. Plato's dialogues culminate in this realization. The highest form of love is contemplation of the good, where beauty and truth become one. In that vision, perception is no longer personal. The universe sees itself through you, clearly, without fear. Awakening is simply remembering to look. You wake each morning visually, but spiritual vision often sleeps for decades. To awaken is not to gain powers or knowledge. It is to notice what has always been obvious. The simplest things, breath, light, existence itself, are gateways. Reality hides in plain sight because attention hides in mind-made noise. Silence, gratitude, and still curiosity reopen the gate. Seeing reality, in the end, is not achievement, but recognition. You are already looking from it, not at it. Reality cannot be possessed. It can only be lived. The impulse to understand reality as object keeps it distant. The philosopher, scientist, mystic, all differ in method but must finally abandon grasping. The map never equals the terrain. The equation never equals the experience. To live reality is to participate consciously, to let awareness flow through doing, feeling, thinking, being. When you eat, taste. When you listen, really listen. When you speak, speak what you mean. Reality is encountered only in immediacy. That is why truth feels simple when glimpsed, yet impossible to explain. It cannot be stored, only embodied. Seeing reality transforms how you treat others. If awareness recognizes itself in all forms, compassion becomes natural, not moral duty. Violence, prejudice, exploitation, they survive only in blindness to unity. The seer of truth sees themselves in strangers, animals, trees, even adversaries. This insight does not breed passivity, it breeds responsible love. Action guided by clear perception harms less and heals more. Each awakened perspective ripples outward, altering collective vision. When even a few see reality, humanity shifts toward harmony. The rarest sight in the world is the world itself. Philosophers, saints, and ordinary people occasionally glimpse it. A moment when the veil thins and everything glows with presence. A flower, a face, a street corner becomes luminous, as if seen for the first time. Nothing supernatural happens, yet everything feels sacred. Such moments prove that vision depends less on what is seen and more on how one sees. Reality is constant, our attention wavers. Most people miss it because it never hides. It's too near to notice. The practice of seeing reality begins with small awakenings repeated often. Look at your hand without labeling. Sense its warmth, the pulse beneath the skin, the quiet miracle of motion. Now extend that awareness outward, to sounds, sights, sensations. Notice how perception arises and passes within consciousness. Each act of noticing untangles one more chain from the cave wall. Clarity accumulates not through effort, but through sincerity. The eyes of awareness adjust to light gradually. Today, one shadow fades, tomorrow, another, until one ordinary morning feels mysteriously new. Seeing reality does not require isolation from the world. It requires intimacy with it. Retreat alone seldom serves if fear of life remains. True seeing happens among people, contrasts, laughter, pain. Every encounter reflects the state of perception. Carry awareness into conversation, conflict, creation. Treat daily moments as mirrors. Reality shines through relationship because relationship is how reality expresses itself. You are not meant to flee the cave forever. You are meant to walk within it, illumined. The final illusion to vanish is the illusion that there was ever illusion. When sight clears completely, even the concept of awakening dissolves. There was no separate self to awaken and no hidden truth waiting to be found. Everything that seemed false was expression of the same truth playing hide and seek. This realization cannot be held by intellect. It is felt as peace, deeper than emotion. Plato glimpsed it when he said that the good is beyond being, the source of being itself. When you see that, blindness itself becomes another way the universe learns to look. People rarely see reality because reality is seeing them. Consciousness does not belong to individuals. Individuals belong to consciousness. The awareness reading these words is the same awareness that formed stars, waves, and memory. You are a window through which reality observes its own creation. To confuse the window for the view is the essence of ignorance. To realize you are the view is enlightenment. Everything else is commentary written on the glass. The first step to seeing reality is to pause long enough to let it appear. Breathe once. Drop the storyline. Let the moment disclose itself before thought rushes in. Notice that nothing is missing. The ordinary is already extraordinary. Reality is not hidden by complexity. It is hidden by hurry. Slow perception reveals that being itself is magnificent. In that slowing, the cave walls fade, the fire cools, the shadows recede. You turn at last toward the light that was never gone. Reality has never been outside your reach. It has always looked through your eyes. The vision you seek is seeking you. Each instant of honest awareness is contact with truth. You do not have to climb mountains or master doctrines. You need only remember to be fully here. Most people never see reality because they overlook the miracle of perception itself. The world they chase is already shining through their seeing. They are eyes closed under open sky. But the moment those eyes open, even for a heartbeat, the universe wakes with them.